Hi creatives, in the previous video we spoke about how to get ideas for your film. Welcome to part 2 and how to get more ideas for your film. I'm glad to have you here. If you're just joining in, my name is Story Brown, and if you've been here before, well, you are absolutely welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about how to get ideas for your film part 2. First, why not take a fish out of the water? And in this I mean that take a character out of their normal comfort zone and see how they react, how they behave to the new situation that you put them in. Their interactions and behaviors in this particular new environment will make an interesting film, don't you think? Next, we have family stories. Family stories. Pick an event where your family got together and build up a story where you can probably write something funny that happened, or spice it up by bending it upside down to something dreadful that could have happened. I'm not saying it happened, I'm just trying to tell you to imagine in your head. It could actually call for a very interesting story. That's an idea. I call this one childlike. Write about something that you would have loved to have happened to you, or maybe could have happened when you were, let's say, 7 or 10, something that you would have actually really loved to watch. Then we have the college-based or the university-based stories where things happen in the school. So you could actually, depending on what genre you want to place it on, there's a lot of films, movies that is actually university or college based. It could be horror, it could be sci-fi movies. Let me give an example of someone dying in that particular school and then starts taunting the others, killing them one by one. Or you could have something like a sci-fi whereby you can actually goes into the past to correct something that he did wrong, maybe a paper or an exam that he or she missed, or go into the future to see what happens in the future. That it could also be a rom-com where boy meets girl, boy falls in love with girl, and after the entire obstacles and so many things that happens to them, preventing them from achieving their goals of being together, they end up being together. And it could also be tragedy where one of them dies at the end, the boy dies or the lady dies at the end, whichever one. You can use that into different genres that you want to, or you can do combinations of genres like we spoke in the previous how to get a film idea. Then there's the villain's point of view. You can also write from the villain's point of view. There's so many movies nowadays where we see it's the hero, the protagonist, the hero of the story, and then there's the antagonist and everything. Why not pick up an antagonist and write a story about them? Create something about them. Give them, try to explore their backstories, give them motives for their actions, give them a goal of where they want to, of what they want to achieve. Write from a bad guy or a villain's point of view and make it interesting. It doesn't always have to be the hero every single time. Write from a villain's point of view and see what happens. With your friends, I'm very sure that you've told jokes to each other and then you just laughed about it and you forgot it. Why not create a story from that? And obviously, yes, it's going to be comedy. And you can also tweak or spice it a bit by making it dark comedy. That will make it even more interesting. Or maybe not, maybe just because I like that comedy. But still, it's going to make it to be very, very interesting. As a continuation from the joke story, you can also try making pranks. Workplace activities. Imagine an office where things are going properly well, things are organized and going amazingly well, and then there is a gunshot. What's going to happen? Okay, so yes, you can actually write a story about that too. There is again the survivor stories. Take a character or two characters and place them in a place where it's impossible for them to escape and see how they react. But remember that they need to have different viewpoints to each other so as to create conflict in that story. I spoke about that more extensively in the element of story, so you can check that out also. Flip a story. Take an interesting and a memorable story and flip it. The protagonist of the story is a child. Make it an adult. Or if the protagonist of that particular story is a male, make it a female. Just take a story, a memorable one that is very interesting, and flip it upside down or flip it inside out, whichever way that you want to flip it, and just see what happens. There is one of beginning with the character's flaws. For example, the character can be scared because of maybe one or two things that happened in their childhood. If the character has a disability, so the character is scared of coming out to make friends and talk to people, or to just be around people because of the disability that character has. Old screenplay, you're done watching that particular film, or you've finished reading that screenplay and you just want it to continue. Think about what could happen if a different set of characters are placed in that same particular situation. That is a continuation of the story. Create something out of that. You never know, it can turn out to be a blockbuster movie. There is one thing that is called genre switching. That is you switching between 2 to 3 genres, switching between horror and sci-fi, switching between comedy and romantic comedy, switching between fantasy and adventure, or whichever one that you want, just creating genre switch. And then there is history, things that happened in the past, maybe in that particular city or community or society or environment. And maybe to the news, or maybe it was just something that was just sidelined and people did not even get to know that something like that happened in that particular city or community. Lastly, write a log line. The log line comprises of the protagonist's goal, the inciting incident, and also the central conflict. So try creating a log line and see what you can come up with. Aside from these ideas, there are more ways to get ideas for your film. It's not limited to just this ones. So why not explore them, go out there and see what you can come up with. I'll be rooting for you. I hope you've learned a lot from this. Click on that like button and also subscribe, and do not forget to hit the notification bell so that the next video I post, you would be one of the first persons to see it. I'm Tori Brown once again, and I will be glad and I can't wait to see you in my next video.